Andy,
Hello.
lovely to see you.
Hello.
In
How are you
Manchester,
doing?
yeah? I- In Manchester.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're breaking up.
As soon as we press go, I can hear you. You all right?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, yeah. I
Good.
thought I'd grab you now then.
Considering
Yeah, considering. I thought we'd grab you now before you go out and start a riot or something down the city centre, yeah?
that might happen this week.
I think it's in the air. Someone's waiting for it. But hey, look, welcome to Club Chill Records, Tracks of the Unexpected. Okay, we've had some really good
Yeah.
people over the week, and I think the only person from your neck of the woods certainly spent a lot of time for your neck of the woods has been John De Silva. You know, so it's about
Oh yeah.
time we had another mank in the ranks. But
Yeah, I'm good
we've
friends
got
with you.
four. Yeah, all right. We'll dance around a little bit where we got four tracks that we wouldn't expect you to have in your record collection, yeah, and one sort of favourite
Yeah.
chills track type thing. So, and we'll dance around. So, what's the first track you got, please, Andy?
First one's an album, and it's called Senor Coconut, and it's by a band called El Deal Al Iman, and they're kind of, this is a bit weird. This I only discovered this just by wandering around the internet. And it's a Cuban sort of mariachi band. What I've done an album which are all covers from Kraftwerk. So me being a big fan of Kraftwerk, but knowing it's all a bit straight Kraftwerk. And then when I heard this, I was just like, that is genius. You know, you sat in a Spanish restaurant having some food and this is on, and you go, that's Kraftwerk. You know, it's bonkers. Wait till you, but everyone who played it to, they're all like, no way. You know, it's just crazy stuff. It's brilliant. It always makes me smile just because I was a big fan since Kraftwerk started. Bought every record and then heard this and it was just like, why ain't anybody thought of this before? You know, I bet they're sat there laughing about it. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned something like Kraftwerk then. So look, obviously the whole electronica business. Do you recall then when you kind of came across them? What sort of age would have been at when Kraftwerk then?
I was about 16, something like that. I think it was the model I discovered. And I had one of them tape recorders, you used to press play and record, and it had a little speaker in. I had one of them, I used to carry it around the street. It was pre-boogie box, you know what I mean? It was one of them, stick it on the wall, sit on the wall, because that's what you did when you was a kid in them days. Didn't have any, so yeah, that's when I first discovered them, and it was I just followed them through the career. And last year we played a festival called Blue Dot, and they headlined, and then we came on after him on the other side of the field in the tent, and the crowd just turned around and it just. I won't say what the crowd was saying, but they was chanting something about Kraftwerk.
But hey, look, from your standpoint, the whole fascination with, I mean, something like Kraftwerk, there's some brilliant footage on Facebook somewhere, like going back to like 1969 or something, 1970, isn't there? Where they were really early. Amazing. I never knew they went back as far as that. So someone like yourself, where was the fascination then of all this kind of sound that they were doing?
I think it was because it was all new. It was like, you were surrounded by pop music, and then a band appears, and you just think, oh, I like that sound. That sounds odd. It doesn't sound like everything else. It's not like whoever Kachagugu or whatever, or any PWL artist. It was just like, it was the future. It was one of them. This is the future. This is amazing. But when I first did Kraftwerk, I didn't think of looking back behind them, but it's been going on a long time. Obviously they come along and took it to a different dimension, making their own instruments, syndromes and stuff like that. I mean, that clip, I watched that. Well, I watched it a few years ago, and I just thought it was hippies when they first started, and everyone sat on the floor, doing all that, and it's just like, and how different they changed into, how they mutated. I thought it was brilliant, and you know, I still like them. I mean, the 3D show, they gave out 3D glasses to everyone in the audience, and you had to be kind of in the middle to get the 3D. So the back projection screen, it was like things would go like that, boom, 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 you know, past you, and everyone's like, whoa, whoa, look at that. And we was at one side, and I'm like, this is rubbish, I can't see a thing. And then someone went, oh, you need to go near the sound desk. I'm pushing my way through, gets to the sound desk. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it now. It was good. It was really good. Very entertaining. I know they was meant to go out this year on tour again. Obviously got cancelled like everybody else's. You know, we was meant to go out on tour. We was meant to do 30 festivals this year, and every one of them got cancelled. Yeah, not good. But I mean, a lot of them, if they come back next year, if they survive, a lot of them have rebooked us and said, yeah, you know, we'll date aside or whatever when it comes in. But I don't think many of them will survive. A lot of them, you know, I doubt Glastonbury will survive if it's not on next year.
Yeah,
you know, it's a big production, massive, millions and millions. And if it don't bring in the year before's production, it can't start the next year's. You know, it can't start booking the big acts and saying, well, here's a deposit.
Yeah.
You know, to guarantee that they're actually going to play. You know.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
It's going to be a very strange next year. I mean, good to hear that you guys are sort of getting rebooked and will be going back out, you know, because, you know, it's, you know, you got new music to be playing, you know, so there's still stuff that didn't really get, you know, enough of a launch this year and perhaps the end of last year, you know what I mean, with new material and all that. All right, look, moving on there, because I know the next track you got in here, this one did surprise me. I don't know why, but...
This is Sound of the League. This got me into Human League. I thought it was an interesting pop song, but again, it's using electronics. And that was out in 1981. And obviously, Human League have got a studio in Sheffield. And we started recording in Sheffield, and we didn't realise the next door neighbours are Human League. One day we're walking around the corridor, and Phil Oakey was like, hey, I was like, hey, I said, is this your studio? I was like, yeah. I said, can I come in? He's like, yeah, you can come in. So we carried a video camera around with us all the time. So we took our video camera in and just filmed the equipment. He didn't even talk to them. He was just like, look at that. Oh, look at that. And then these weird lot, you know, it's proper. And that's on YouTube, that clip, with the clip of the actual footage, what we filmed. It was like, whoa, look at that. You know, they had drawers and drawers in the studio just with old equipment, and it was just like, wow. And then they came and seen ours, and they're like, oh, yeah, you got one of them. Oh, we've got one of them. We've got one of those. It was like, but that got me. That when they first started, I think that was one of their first tracks, and I'm not sure whether it charted, but I remember buying it on, I think it's 12-inch, and again, I just followed the Human League from there. You know, you sort of buying into somebody, aren't you? If you like the first track, you go, oh, get the next one. You know, get the next one, kind of thing.
Right. So give us an idea, right? So was you alone in this kind of interest in craft work and Human League? I mean, what were your pals sort of into, you know, around that sort of period, you know?
A strange one, you know, but yeah, I think they caught afterwards playing this stuff to them, and they're going, "What's that?"
So we lost you there for a second. So the Human League then. I mean, what? Let's take 1982 or something like that. You know, what was going around in Manchester at the time, Andy? You know.
Well, I was listening to electro and early hip hop at the same time, obviously because of that sound, you know. I think it was Cybertron. Warren Atkins was the first thing I got onto, and it was just like, here we go, it's the future again, but a different kind of future kind of sounds. There's no drums in there, you know, it's all electronic. So, I mean, we at that time, I was too young to go to a club. So we set up a youth club and set up a disco in there. And as I was the DJ, I had a set of decks and playing all this to all these kids. And they're all like, this is ace, you know, with breakdancing going on and all that lot. It was mad. It was pre me going into a nightclub. It was just like Saturday night, everyone's, all that, the kids our age, were all piling down to this place, this youth club. And it was rammed, you know, it was getting 300-400 kids in there, just listening to all this stuff, which I'm listening to, going, I'm going to get that one, going to get that one. And eventually we blagged the club owner to give me an allowance to buy records. So every week he'd give me an allowance, so I'd be like, right, going into, you know, one of the shops in town, but specialised in electro and all that and hip hop. So on Saturday going, yeah, I'll have that. And they're like, who's this kid?
There is a photograph, ain't you, of you maybe at one of those youth clubs, you know, all dressed up in the tracksuit and all that top to bottom.
Yeah, we had them tracksuits made for us because we had a breakdance crew which none of us actually break dance. But we knew somebody that worked at Adidas, so we said, and the Adidas first then tracksuits, they was the thing at the time, and was like, can you do us any but in different colours than what you could buy? And you couldn't buy them. There's only 5 of them tracksuits ever made. Nobody ever made them in that colour again, because it was always blue with the yellow and the white stripe and the red one. So yeah, if you come across one of them tracksuits, you know where it's come from.
Any idea where they are?
No idea. I'm sure mine ended up in a charity shop. Probably worth a fortune now. I know them Adidas first now are worth a fortune, the ones what were mass produced. But there was only 5 of them made. So lucky you've got.
It happens. Right, moving on then. So the next one, and there had to be something from your neck of the woods in here, didn't it? So who have we got, Andy, please?
This is Everything's Gone Green, and it's by New Order. And again, this is 1981, and this got me into New Order. Again, that electronic sound, you know, it was just, even though it was Stephen Morris playing drums, he was playing electronic drums, and he's tight as anything. You know, he's just like, you're watching him, you just think it's like a robot or like a drum machine. So yeah, I got into New Order, and they used to practice near where I lived, and there was a practice place. So like, and sometimes, like at weekend, if you're not doing that, you go and sit outside and listen to the bands who's in. You know, completely music obsessed. I'd be sat there on the curb listening to them, and I'm thinking, that's New Order, that. And, you know, not realising who's in there, because, you know, it's all boarded up and all, you know, most of it's trying to be soundproof, but it's an old mill, so you've got loads of leaks. So, yeah, from then, I got into New Order in 81. In 91, we was friends, and we was touring America doing stadiums. The smallest crowd was 80,000. In America, they have these things called sheds, and half of it's indoors, and half of it's a grass bowl, a bit like Milton Keynes kind of thing. Yeah. And it was the best tour we've ever been on. It was brilliant, because after every show, get some of the side fills, you know, the speakers what you have on the stage, get the decks, because there was always a set of decks there for whoever was DJing on it, get them backstage and have a party for all the crew. So everyone who's grafted on it, all the roadies, the lighting guys, everyone, it was just like, save your ride up, we're having a party. And every night we had a party, and me and Darren, who was used to DJ with, we were spinning all night. It was great. Everyone loved it.
And off the back of sort of the 89 period, you know, and Pacific State and Quadra State and all that coming out, then you guys must have been in a lot of demand as well at that time. I can only imagine, you know, that kind of...
Yeah, it was kind of non-stop there. It was a bit of a whirlwind. I don't remember, none of us kind of remember what was going on, you know. we was out off into the middle of nowhere in the field, and you'd be lining up with your equipment to do a PA. You know, you'd be there with the Prodigy, and it'd be like, next, next, next. No, on to the next one. You know, so you'd end up going to 3 raves in one night. Yeah. in a minibus with all the gear stuff stuck in all the back seats. You know, you just arrive on site, be like, right, and you go. It was mad, bonkers. But then at the time, we was also doing proper tours where it was like, you know, doing like Apollos. We played the GMEX Centre, which is a big exhibition centre in Manchester. It used to be a train station. That's 10,000 capacity. I've never seen so many gas canisters in my life. And we didn't make a lot of money off it because we put all the money into production. With the biggest sound system in there, with lasers all over the place, all kinds of stuff going on. And then at the end of the night, it was just, as it emptied, we're sat about, and I just like, hang on, what are these? Because no age limit on it. You could get in with if you was 14, so because there was no alcohol being sold in there. Never seen so many empty gas canisters all over the place. I think we made £2.50 off that event, and it was 10,000 people in there. At one point, the fire exits got kicked in, and then about 1,000 people come in. It was too overcrowded, you know. And then recently I've said, why didn't we just scrap all them gas canisters? We'd have made a fortune.
In hindsight, hey, was that after the whole Top of the Pop scene, the whole with the few 3 Manchester bands were on there?
Yeah, we did. We was that thing when the Manchester bands was on. We missed it out by a week. We was on the week before, so it was like the following week. It was like, you know, Enemy, Melody Maker. Everyone's talking about the Manchester bands. I'm like, if we'd have only been a week later.
It worked out. Anyway, what's the 4th track, please, Andy?
Yeah. All right, 4th track is Landing of the Daleks by a band called the Earthlings. Now, this came out before I was born, but I was just rooting through crates, and I just seen it. I thought, I'm going to buy that. The only reason why I bought it is because when I was a kid, the Daleks used to scare the living daylights out of me. Them and the Cybermen, and I thought, I can't even listen to it, you know. And I thought, no, let's get over it. You're a grown up now. So I just discovered that one by accident. But yeah, it was the Daleks. I used to have nightmares about them and all that when I was probably about 8 or something like that, 7 or 8, and the Daleks are on TV, you know.
So, have you ever been inspired to write a song about the Daleks? Put the thing together?
No. Orbital did it, didn't they? With they did it, but no, we've never. No, it was a bad memory, and I just bought that one, and I've listened back to it a few times. It's just like it's quite future for its 1965. They was using, you know, their kind of synths, or they was using string instruments to recreate stuff. Yeah, that's quite a mad one. If you can find it, I'm not sure you will. You can try. Try Discogs, you might get it there.
It might be down that charity shop with your tracksuit.
Yeah,
throughout lockdown, how's the creative side of things going? Recording, you know, because you know you're in and out, or had been, you know, quite often, you know. So what's happening there?
Well, when we put the last album out, we had enough to do 4 albums. So when this lockdown's over, I'm sure we're going to just come out with a new album because we've got that much stuff. It was difficult choosing the tracks for the last album, but we reset it and go back to what we used to do rather than having like the guest vocals on and all that. It was just like, let's take it all back to basics and start again, see what people think. But there's a lot of stuff on there. There's a lot of stuff with, you know, there's a lot of like cubic sounding big guitars and stuff like that. There's a lot of that just sat there waiting to be compiled and put out. So I think that's what might happen. And for the beginning of lockdown, me and my son have been making electro, but new electro. So together we made 5 tracks, finished and mixed and all that lot. And I'm not sure whether to wait until after lockdown to let them out, because they need a big sound system rather than people just listening them on headphones or, you know, or laptop speakers. They need a whopping sound system to play. So I think it needs to be a time when everyone's allowed battle, have that, you know, and see what happens.
So how old's your son out of interest then? And where's his interest in electro come about? Because of you, I can imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, when he was a baby, I used to take him to festivals. When he was 3 years old, I took him to V Festival, lost one of his shoes, got chewing gum stuck in the hair. Yeah, so he's all, whenever we've been allowed, if we've been doing UK stuff where we're on a coach, a sleeper bus, it's like, oh, get the kids on. Because we all have kids around the same age. And so, yeah, he's kind of picked it up as he's gone along. And he's kind of started buying proper equipment a few years ago. And I was like, you're not going to be a musician. He went, why? I said, you're not. I said, you're going to get a proper job. You can get a job what's stable. And at the moment, he's over in Sheffield at Hallam University. And he's took all his equipment. So he's banging it out, and all neighbours are going mental, I imagine. Yeah, so he just picked it up, and then he started playing me stuff. I'm like, I used to play stuff like that. And he's like, well, you know, let's get together and do stuff what you used to do. So he's brought the new bit, and I've stuck the old bit in, and it's some good stuff, you know, pretty good stuff. I think he's locked in. He's on lockdown at the moment because I think Sheffield University's got the virus, and there's loads of them all in there, probably having a rave or something like that. I know that's what they did here at Manchester. All the kids just got locked down. It's like you're out around the party, and then the police turn up. They're all in the courtyard having it. Way, getting themselves, because they've all got it. They might as well just get on with it.
It was, but I'm interested about the thing with your son, actually, yeah, because I know you and I spoke possibly earlier this year or last year about the Street Sounds book, you know, and Street Sounds just started up its own sort of DAB station, you know, because there's still a lot of love for that kind of vibe and that sound and the freshness of it. But what's happening next, do you know? So you know, catch it, you know.
Yeah, I know Jojo, and so she sends me stuff and things like that, you know. Yeah, I like Street Sounds. I think it's a great image, you know what I mean. My son, by the way, you can catch him. He's called Porch Crawler. You can get him on SoundCloud. He's got a SoundCloud page, and this stuff, all the new stuff, what we've done, they're nowhere near that. But he's done a lot of different stuff in the past.
Yeah,
pretty talented.
Yeah. No, wish him well with that, and we need that because that's a sound that's still ready to be evolved. You know what I mean? It didn't stop in 1983. Right. So, a favourite chill track to keep us in with the Club Chill record scene. What chills you then, Andy?
Right. This one is 1984. It's a 12-inch. Part 1's on one side, 11 minutes. Part 2's on the second side. So when you finish the first side, you flip it over and play the next bit, and it's kind of, you know, Louis Vega when he did French Kiss.
Yeah,
you can see the influences come from this. You know, it's called the E2 E4. It's brilliant. It's just one of them you put on, and after 15 minutes, you're still like, yeah, because it just moves around. You know, just evolves. It's nothing mad changing in it. It's just one of them. It's great. It's great.
Have you ever thought about doing a complete sort of ambient, chilled, really taking it down type album or project?
We've done a few remixes like that of our own stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think like Cafe Del Mar and all that lot, they take care of all that stuff. You know, it's kind of a lot of people make it towards aiming at that, you know, knowing it's going to get on a compilation album or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, you never know.
No, I just wondering because, you know, we're all getting a little bit older now, you know what I mean? And there's times you just want to kick back on the sofa with something a little bit different, you know? But
not us. We got to get out there on the stage and give it in.
Right, Andy, thanks for doing this. Really, really appreciate it. We did lose it a couple of times on the thing, but that might just be my end. It might just be your end. It might be all right when it comes out front. But I really appreciate it. We've got the 4 tracks. Be out on Club Chill Records, socials, and the YouTube, and we'll put the tracks in later on. They're really good to speak to you. I'm glad you're looking well, and we've got new music, and well, hopefully the tour will come together next year, Andy. You know, so let's hope so, pal.
Stay safe.
Yeah, all right then. Take care now. Good to see you. See ya.
Take care,
Bye.
mate. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.